We are here at the Global Quality Assurance Association event where we are having our Professor Beatrice. She's going to be us throughout this session, and I know we always get very good knowledge, information, and skills from our speakers because we don't take it for granted all the time. We want to make sure that our speakers are doing well and everything is on point. All right. Should I play it? Yes, so now we will start by introducing the Global Quality Assurance Association and what we do so that people also know the organization that they are dealing with. I want to resume the slideshow. Right. Okay. So my name is Dr. Violet Makuku. I'm the director and quality assurance specialist and consultant director for the Global Quality Assurance Association. I'm also an educationist and research methods specialist, project management, very much acquainted with it, workshops coordination and facilitation. I think a lot of you who have been following us know a lot about this. Academic writing and academic reviewer expert, quality assurance design review, and looking at quality assurance issues and curriculum issues in general. External examiner for master's dissertations and PhD thesis. It's a lot that we do, and it's a lot that we can do together. Those are our contact details. I just want to give you a brief of the Global Quality Assurance Association. Basically, we believe that through hard work and education, we can deliver a strong economy and opportunity for all. And this also, we share the same sentiments with Julia Gillard, who gave us this quote. So now, looking at what we also believe again is that quality starts with you. Quality starts with me, and quality is in our hands. Quality should be everybody's business. It was like that. The whole world could be a better place to live, no matter which continent you are in. But it seems like in those continents, countries, organizations, and institutions where they are upholding the quality and quality assurance values, they are moving much faster and doing better things. So this is our logo, the Global Quality Assurance Association, and really we believe in assuring quality. Our vision is to enable organizations attain high levels of efficiency and profitability through sustainable quality assurance systems in a bid to create a world where the quality culture thrives. That's how you see that even when we are partnering with our members, or we are also doing some other work, we make sure that this quality component should also be covered. Today, we are excited that very soon I'll be introducing to you Professor Beatrice, who is one of the members of the Global Quality Assurance Association. Our mission is to ensure consistency in the quality of goods and services through knowledge and skills sharing. We do school renovations, we do institutional, industry, and organizational assessments, monitoring, and evaluation for self-improvement. Maybe you are preparing for rankings, or you are preparing for the 5-year recycled reviews. All those we can prepare for you. Maybe you want to transform your institution and you want to know more about your strengths, your areas of improvement. I don't want to call them weaknesses. And also come up with recommendations and action plans. We do it for you. We do it together through the institutional, industry, and organizational assessments and evaluations, monitoring and evaluation for self-improvement. Here, this is one of the things that motivated us. We realized that in the African continent, quality assurance in terms of total quality management and in terms of understanding quality assurance is still lagging a bit behind. So it's like when you look at organizations and universities, for example, it's all these gaps about quality and quality assurance, just like the whole tree trunk and branches being held by those roots, but actually the whole soil to continuously hold it together is not there. There are gaps in terminology, which makes it a whole issue of confusion, because the understanding of the terminology also pushes people to do either the right thing or the wrong things, depending on how the terminology is used. Coming on again to looking at the operations, the depth and breadth of quality assurance, knowing the quality indicators, knowing the quality assurance implementation. There are gaps just like this in all those areas. That is one of the things which actually motivated us to have the Global Quality Assurance Association. We have a new baby in the Global Quality Assurance Association. We introduced just 2 weeks ago the advisory, consultative, and supportive webinars. How did we start them? Why did we start them? Because we were overwhelmed with a lot of communication, a lot of persons coming to us, people trying to know more about what we do, people trying to know more about quality assurance in general, knowing more about quality. How can I see that there's quality? How can I feel that there's quality? Is quality tangible? This quality assurance, how can we best implement it to make sure that the quality culture prevails? How can we build the quality culture in its totality? So that's why we talk of the quality management system, quality assurance, building the quality culture. We deal with these SDGs, number 4, quality education, number 5, gender equality, number 10, reduce the inequalities, SDG 17, partnerships for goals, where we are even saying, even with our members for the Global Quality Assurance Association, we want to partner them, particularly in this international platform that we have of our Global Quality Assurance Association webinars. It is a platform that we can support our members also to be visible to the world, because you know that under normal circumstances, at any one moment, we have more than 100 participants, close to 300 and beyond, some of whom we push to Facebook because the platform is full. But we want that reach to also get to our members. We want to share a lot with the continent Africa so that people can work towards more transformation of the continent, contribution towards the real transformation of the continent using real data, knowledge, and skills. And so that's why we are mostly practical oriented. Those are our social media handles. Just follow us, especially on our website too, www.gqaa.org. www.gqaa.org is there. We are well branded. I move fast on this one. We reward. We are well organized in terms of everything that we do. The other issue very quickly is about membership. We invite you to be individual members of the Global Quality Assurance Association. We also invite you to be organizational members of the GQAA. If you go to the website, once again, you will see the process. There's a form that you complete and there's payment to be done, and there are associated benefits. Some of the benefits here, elevation of your profile, boosts your credibility, helps you during application for promotion, helps you even to be at a competitive advantage. When you apply for a new job, when we are executing our grants, or even grant writing, we want to partner with you so that you can benefit, giving you the platform as a speaker, keynote speaker, or a panelist, the way we are doing with our member, Professor Beatrice. You can also get that opportunity. So it is a lot that we can do together. Those are our WhatsApp and also the email address that you can use in case you want to ask us something or make a submission. We have online workshops. These workshops can be offered both online and in person. We do it writing of grants and project supervision and marking of PhD thesis and master's dissertations, resource mobilization, research methods, academic writing, and many more. We are authentic, well registered with the Ghana Registrar General of Companies, as well as the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, because of the philanthropic work that we also do. We work with universities across the continent, companies and organizations. This was Sokoine University of Agriculture in Tanzania. This was GIMPA, Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. It's a well-renowned university. We are practical oriented in the work that we do, and we continue to move on with our branding. We work with colleges of education and people from different countries. These are some of the newly appointed quality assurance directors in 2024. This is University for Development Studies in Ghana. This is another new baby. The African Union Commission had the African Skills Week in Ghana. And from the African Skills Week, one of the issues that has been pointed out, which as the Global Quality Assurance Association, we have also been cognizant of, because we work with the African Union in more than 3 or 4 projects, is the dissemination challenge. So we took it upon ourselves that we are going to partner and work with the African Union in terms of dissemination of the Africa Skills Week resolutions and objectives in such a way that we are going to have every month at least a series. This is another area where we need speakers, because other than the dissemination, we also want to contribute to entrepreneurship and job creation skills, that we reduce the numbers of people who are going across the oceans and perishing, those who choose to use the deserts, who go across the very hot and dry deserts where they perish and die. What can we do with what we have in our continent in order to make sure that we don't have this movement and drifting of people to the West? This is one project where we are working with the African Union, and at one time, this was in Kenya, where I was facilitating quality assurance in qualifications frameworks. We also work with many universities across the continent. Like I've said, this year in September, we had the Higher Education Quality Assurance Forum in South Africa, Cape Town, facilitated by UNISA and Cape Peninsula University of Technology. I was a keynote speaker with playing many more roles with the South African Qualifications Authority, as well as the South Africa Council for Higher Education. All are regulatory bodies. That's the Director of Quality Assurance, Cape Peninsula. This is the Director of Quality Assurance, UNISA. This is it. We had more than 56 universities attending, and you can imagine how it was like. Awards, we also win them. This time again, I won this Lifetime Award. This was another award, also keynote speeches in many instances. These are technical universities, the European Union, and we do so much more. Working at national level, we do. At institutional level, we do, and also at individual level. There are people who are newly appointed who are asking us to say, Doc, can you please take me through a course on quality assurance so that as a new director, I can perform better. We even work with ministries. And so this is important to us. Other regulatory bodies in higher education, that is Kenya, we assisted in the setting up and establishment of the Eswatini Higher Education Council. Here we were now bringing together that council and the universities and colleges in Eswatini. This was University of Ilorin in Nigeria, played a key role. This is the rector and deputy rector then of the GIMPA. We train, we talk to students because we can't leave them. This was Namibia, and this was South Africa recently, the last 10 days of June, helping them with their Council for Higher Education report. And seated there, the woman in black is the Vice Chancellor. Working again with the African Union, we had a meeting. This was a strategic plan review. Let's work together. Another one for University of Energy and Natural Resources. It's a lot. We work with these universities everywhere, and we have done a lot with them. So we carry out researches. That's our philanthropic work. We transform places. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the time. We were also making sure that maybe others can join us. Allow me at this juncture to introduce our keynote speaker. I will just make sure I have a bit of a background for her so that we can move on very soon. Right. Our speaker for today is Professor Beatrice Opolu. She will correct me if I'm wrong. We have been connected for a very long time. We started being friends on Facebook, and we talked, and then later on, I realized just recently that we were connected also on LinkedIn. I was very much excited. But besides that, she is also a member of the Global Quality Assurance Association. She has been very active in other fora where she has worked as the founder and director of B Solutions and Consultant Services. She obtained a BSc honors in environmental management. Sorry about that. Environmental management and toxicology at the Federal University of Agriculture, Obokuta, in Nigeria in 1995. She graduated with an MSc in environmental biology from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, in 2001, and a PhD in environmental toxicology from, again, the University of the Federal University of Agriculture, Obokuta, in Nigeria, in 2007. She was appointed Extended Curriculum Coordinator in the Faculty of Applied Sciences in the Cape Peninsula University of Technology in 2011. At Cape Peninsula University of Technology, she was a full professor and the leader of the Environment, Climate Change, and Sustainable Research Focus Area. Professor Beatrice is an established researcher, C3 rated in South Africa. Her field of specialization is in environmental toxicology and chemistry. She focuses on interactions between man and the environment, investigating chemical contaminations, remediation of toxic chemicals, and their health risks to humans and ecosystems. She has published over 120 articles in peer-reviewed journals, book chapters, and conference proceedings. You can see that under her belt, she holds a lot. I can go on and on and on and on, but I can't leave out SETAC. Yes, she is a past president of the Society of Environmental Toxicology and Chemistry Africa. I know she's passionate about this. If I was to introduce her, I would leave everything else but deal with the SETAC matters and how she is related to SETAC. She is the president of the Society of Environmental Toxicology and Chemistry World Council. That's how she has worked hard in this area in order to be who she is today. But I can tell you one thing, she's a very humble person. That one, you can't take it away from her. I can't say much, otherwise I can go on and on and on the whole day. So to you, my professor, we are very glad to have you today, and I know you are going to give value for time to our people. Once again, Dr. Violet Makuku, the Director for the Global Quality Assurance Association, partnering today with our member, Professor Beatrice, who is the B Solutions and Consultant Services CEO. Over to you, my prof.
Thank you so much, Dr. Makuku, for your very kind and generous introduction. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share my insights with our audience today. And my biography is in the chat box for people that want to know more about my personality in terms of my professional personality, because I always tell people there's a what part of me and there's a who part of me. My who part of me is the most important person, because that is my soul, my spirit, and my body in all of it together. But my what is my professor title. Is the president of CITAC World Council. So if you want to know the words of the Beatrice Okpeolu brand, it's in the chat box for you. Thank you very much, everyone. And I hope to not take too much of your time. I hope that at the end of this session webinar today, we will all go out, all empowered, more passionate, and more focused about where to put our resources in terms of our time, our funding, and everything that we need to do to drive the sustainability in Africa or to have global impact at the end of the day. So I am the director of B Solutions and Consultancy Services. We are a young company, business as it is. And today, like you see, we're partnering with the Global Quality Assurance Association today for this webinar. You can see the beautiful logo in the colors of purple and orange and the honey bee there with some colors that are similar to what we can find in the Global Quality Assurance logo. So there's a lot of synergies in the work that we do at these solutions and consultancy services. But today I will attempt to do a few things. The first thing is to try to put into fore the role of higher education in sustainability. Why is the higher education sector, why is our industry very important for global sustainability, for the sustainability of our continent? I will try also to talk about the positioning of Hive, we call ourselves BS Hive, B Solutions and Consultancy Services, where BCS Hive is situated in the higher education of our continent. And of course, we will talk, we attempt global on continental imperatives about sustainability. The SDGs and the Agenda 2063 of the African Union. I will touch on those and how our industry, our sector should be positioned to be a driver in achieving all of those. And to put it in context, I will show a slide or two on the status of higher education now in Africa, the issues we are facing, and the trends in that space. And what are the expectations from higher education sector on the continent at the global level? What does our society expect from us? What are the expectations from our funding agencies and our employers versus the needs of our society and our communities? And I will try to highlight some potential goals, strategic goals that our sector can use to drive sustainable development on our continent. So, why is higher education important? The first reason is because it is critical to drive national and regional development. So without higher education, there cannot be development. And you will see by the time I project the slide on Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. So at national level, we cannot get the tools we need, the skills that we need, the capacity, human capacity that we need, the knowledge we need to create wealth without the higher education sector. So most of the things, the knowledge, the skills that comes to fore that we need to use in the societies and our communities, they can only be provided by our sector. That is the one reason. The second reason is because our sector has become an essential part of national initiatives to boost innovation and performance across our economic sectors. So, and I will talk about economic sectors in broad terms. So economic sectors include our sector, education itself, because we create wealth also in our sector, but also manufacturing, agriculture, all of the sectors that create wealth. Higher education has become an important part of that, whether it's politics or human resources or engineering or chemistry. We are the people that build those the human capacity that are needed in all of those spaces. And so we are so important. And a lot of literature has attested today. I don't want to bore this audience today with lots of literature. But another thing that I think it makes it critical for us in Africa is our youthful population. Our youth is over 70% of our entire population. So what are we going to do with this huge amount of people on our continent if we don't empower them to be able to create wealth at the end of the day? We all know that all over the world, it's just not in Africa, resources from government streams and government employment is drying up. It's just not there. But we can empower them to be their own employers and to be employers of labor. So it's important that we use this useful population to our advantage, because again, we can use them when they're empowered with education. We can leverage that pool of our population for our development economically, for social cohesion across the globe, and to also foster peace on our continent. So, in this sense, our sector plays a very essential role in national and global sustainability goals. We are very important. The higher education sector is very important. We're even more important now for Africa, for the Africa that we want under our Agenda 2063. And of course, there is data that supports the fact that an increase of 10% in enrollment into the higher education sector will potentially increase a country's GDP by 0.7%. So you can imagine if you have over 20% increase in enrollment, or 30 or 50 or 60. And you see, we will go to some of the issues, and we will talk more about why is it, because people will ask, but what are we going to do with them? The question is, what are the Asians doing with their population? And it's about us changing our mindset about our population, because I don't see our population as a problem as it is, as it's being projected every time. I see our population as a strength that Africa can leverage upon strategically.
Mhm.
So I believe a stronger higher education sector will contribute to a number of sustainable development goals, and most especially quality education, industry innovation and infrastructure, climate action, and more importantly, partnerships for the other 16 sustainable development goals. I think we're positioned in a strong way to be able to contribute to those goals. So somebody may be asking, but why is she talking to us today? Who is Beatrice Okpelu? What is B Solutions and Consulting Services? I would say we're a female-owned company to start with, so empowering women and gender equality kind of thing. And then the company was just conceptualized to meet the growing need for quality services in Africa. Services that are consistent with international norms and standards. And so what we do is to provide skills and competencies that will be leveraged by Africa to deliver globally competitive, cutting-edge deliverables to all of our clients within our continent and outside of our continent. And so our mission as a company is to build a human-centric entity that provides solutions to globally relevant challenges with knowledge, integrity, and passion for sustainability. And I emphasize those last four words of our mission statement: knowledge. We don't do things out of not knowing. Integrity is one of our core values. Passion for the work that we do. We're very passionate about everything we put our hands to do. Whatever we want to do, we want to make sure that it's the best that we can offer as much as possible every time. And of course, we have this big dream that as a company, we want to contribute to an economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable world using our mainstream scientific knowledge, the one we know, the one we are all familiar with in this room. And of course, our indigenous knowledge systems that we're gradually losing, and we know they are powerful. We know they are very potent. We know they are our strength. They are a pool of underutilized resources that is worrying that we're wasting away as a continent. So we don't do compliance, be compliance, have taken what is the word now, calls and mails from people asking if I could help them with their BE compliance. We don't do that. It's a metaphor of the bee colony. That is where the name is coming from. And obviously, my name starts from Beatrice, Bushirat, whatever you want to call me. So it's the bee metaphor where we know that the bees represent interconnectedness of individuals within a community. And each bee in that hive, has a specific role to play within the hive, whether it's gathering the nectar or building the hive or protecting the colony. Every person in that hive is important, including the client. So in our company, we believe that each one of our employees, our clients, and other stakeholders has unique but interconnected roles to achieve common goals, which means sometimes we disagree with our approaches. Sometimes we don't agree. But the important thing that connects us all together is that we have our goals that are connecting us together. We all want a healthy beehive. We all want a healthy society. We all want a healthy Africa. We want a sustainable world. That is the goal that is connecting us with not just our staff and our other human resources, but also with the rest of the world. And we're cognizant of the contributions of everyone that is an employee and a stakeholder, in that we're trying to build a strong and cohesive team that can achieve its goals and thrive over the long time. We want something that will outlive this generation, that we want to build. And so we're dependent on each other in that sense. We are vulnerable towards each other because we are trying to drive the same goal to achieve the same thing. So we have the mother bee just to nudge the colony in the right direction when those hormones must be protected, must be produced, when an egg should be laid, when there's another king that is needed, when there's another queen that should be prepared. So it's the bee metaphor. So and we do all of these things that I don't want to go run over to bore you, but I dare say that we're a one-stop shop for most of the institutions for our sector in terms of needs. So I will come back to global imperatives. In the early 2000s, close to 2000, we had the Millennium Development Goals that was aimed at organizations and nations that they should commit to one or all of the 8 goals in the MDGs. And one of those was to ensure environmental sustainability. And so that is when I was actually building my career and my brand. I started, and I was privileged to understand how it works at that young stage of my career, what it means to be a global player in research in the higher education sector. But then they were expected to integrate the principles of sustainable development into policies and so on and so forth. But before we knew it, the SDGs came to being after 2015, and we had to start running after all of these SDGs. And we have 17 solid ones. You will see that I've tried to put in the stars because all of the work I've been doing over the years speaks to each of those stars. But for this particular one, the red big stars are the most important ones today. It's about ending poverty in Africa. It's about giving quality education for every deserving African child. It's about reducing inequalities in our communities, fostering industry, innovation, and infrastructure. We need to do all of these if we're going to have an Africa that is self-sustained, that we want to see in our Agenda 2063. So the way I see the Sustainable Development Goals, I cluster them into 3 groups. And the first group is the one that has to do with environmental sustainability, whether you are talking about life on earth, life below water, climate action, all of those, clean water, we're talking about sustainability. peace and justice, environmental sustainability. And when we have the economic cluster that talks to zero hunger, no poverty, good health and well-being, reducing inequalities, decent work economic, those are economic issues. And of course, we have social issues that has to do with our behavior, responsible consumption, making sure everybody has decent life, houses to live in, good work and everything, and good food to eat on the table and to feed everybody. So we have these three clusters, but the way I see it, from the lessons that we learned from COVID-19, we understand now that everything we're talking about, whether it's peaceful societies or a vibrant economy, they're all situated on the environmental sustainability. So if we don't have the enabling environment for everything to thrive economically and socially, then there's no world, there's no life to live for everybody on earth. I will leave that there for now. But then let's look into Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. And I was going through those documents and I see all of these beautiful things, man. We have a high standard of living. It's one of the goals of the Africa that we want. And quality life and well-being for all of African citizens. We have educated citizens and skills revolution that is underpinned by science, technology, and innovation. We cannot overemphasize this. Healthy and nourished citizens, absolutely. Transformed economies, modern agriculture, blue oceans and blue economy and ocean economies, environmentally sustainable, climate resilient economies and communities, United Africa. I love United Africa. Establishment of functional continental financial and monetary institutions. So that at least we have one that is outside of IMF. We have world-class infrastructure, crisscrosses Africa. Imagine having the N1 going straight to Egypt and the N2 going to Lesotho from Cape Town, and so on and so forth, and from Nigeria to Senegal to Ghana. Imagine those kinds of infrastructure across Africa, what it would do to our economy. Democratic values and practices, human rights, rule of law, capable institutions and transformative leadership, preservation of peace, security, and stability, a stable and peaceful Africa, functional African peace and security architecture, African cultural renaissance, full gender equality, engaged and empowered youth, Africa as a major player in global affairs, full responsibility for financing our developmental goals. Imagine all of these beautiful goals that Africa have. If we, as a sector, were able to contribute to each of these goals, imagine the transformation it will have across our continent. And I went through all of these goals. I don't see a single one. And if you can identify one of these goals, please let me know in the chat box. I don't see a single one where the higher education sector is not important. Because we are the ones that train the politicians. We are the one that trains the professionals. We are the one that train people how to treat women in gender studies. We are the one in the higher education sector that does most of these things. Whether it's innovation or creativity in doing things, is the higher education sector. And the higher education institution we're talking about may not necessarily be the university. It can be the polytechnic, it can be a college of education, it can be a TVET, it can be a technical college. Whatever higher education sector you are, we're perfectly positioned to be able to foster each of these goals and contribute in that sense to each of these goals. But listen, this is what we have. At this stage, the enrollment into our higher education sector in Africa is just about 9%, below 10% of the global average, whereas the global average is about 40%. That is where we're still sitting, meaning over 90% of our population do not have access to higher education. That is something we have to start thinking about, and how can we improve on these statistics. So if you look about R&D expenditure, research and development, in terms of percentage of our GDP, only about under just 0.4% of Africa's GDP goes into higher education funding. So how do we compete with nations that have an average of 2.5? Some of them are higher than the average. How do we even compete with that? In most African countries, the academic staff to student ratio is 1 to 50 compared to the global average of 1 to 16. I know that in some classes in Africa, we have thousands of students. So we're talking about a ratio of 1 to 1,000 in some places. So this 1 to 50 is an average again. So, and a global contribution to global research is less than 2%. And imagine we have over 70% of our population under the age of 30, over 60% under the age of 25, and we having an enrollment statistics of 9.4. So there's an issue there. We have to find ways of bringing more students into the higher education sector so that they can have skills. They can have skills that can help our communities, that can help our countries, that can help our continents to drive some of these objectives that we have at continental and global level. We know that in Africa also, brain drain is a big issue. So out of these few enrollments and peak capacity we build, it's also been estimated that about 20,000 African professionals leave our continent yearly for greener pastures and for different reasons all over the world. They leave our continent to go to Europe and North America. And guess what? These are people that probably finished their education in Africa, were trained in Africa, but the African market is saying you are not market ready. You are not fit for purpose in the jobs we have. But when they migrate across the Mediterranean, by whichever way, they get perfectly fitted in 2 to 3 weeks. Why is that so? Isn't it perhaps because the curriculum we run in Africa is more relevant to the context in other places?
Yes.
Perhaps we need to start looking inwards about how do we design our curricula so that it fits perfectly into the needs of African market, job market, into the
Mhm.
needs and problems associated with Africa. So these are things I want us to start thinking about and pondering about while we engage in these conversations and discourses going forward. So
Okay.
another big issue for us in Africa is quality assurance issues, which brings us here today. We
Mhm.
know that there are quality assurance issues across our programs. That's why it's sometimes even difficult to transfer credits. Sometimes I also get upset being a Nigerian resident in South Africa, and we're
Yes.
saying a 4-year degree from Nigeria is less than a 3-year degree in South Africa because
Yes.
of quality assurance issues and because we are not able to align our programs and credits and all of those across the continent. So
Mhm.
even that kind of engagement in the higher education sector across our continent is something we need to do. And I'm aware that the Association of African University is spearheading a project along that line now, which gladdens my heart, and I hope that will work for us in coming years, such
Mhm.
that a degree in South Africa can safely be taken to a degree in Tanzania and
Mhm.
translated into relevant credits there, and so that we can have these intracontinental credit systems that will work for our continent better than it is doing at this stage.
Mhm.
So what are the expectations of our society from higher education institutions? The first expectation of, a parent, let's start from the homestead, is that you must teach my children. Give them skills that they need so that when they leave your university or your polytechnic or your college of education, they're able to do what they aim to do at the end of the day. So teaching is a core work of our education. And of course, research. That is where knowledge is created. That is where skills are built. Whatever skills you may want to think about in all of our disciplines, research is a core place where it is situated. And of course, teaching, leadership is another one. You want to be seen as a leader. Universities want to be seen leading something. That is why we have centers of excellences all over the place. Even employees of universities, they want to be seen also. That's where we do the things we do outside of the classroom and outside of the laboratories, so that we have our own voice, we have our own brand, we are seen as leaders and experts in our field. Community engagement is key. We expect that if you're a higher education institution in a particular community, your presence must be felt by the communities around you. You must be able to reach out to communities. And so what do we do? What do we need to do? What are the things we need to have to be able to deliver on these three core mandates? The first one, I think, is that you need knowledge. You need a critical mass of people that know and that are known. So you need a critical mass of experts that are reputable, that people can attest to their reputation, that have the right skills in that particular core item or that core goal that you are you are striving to achieve. And of course, we need competent graduates at the end of the day to be able to do the work that we're doing. We're getting older by the day. So by the time I leave the university as a full-time professor, I should have made another professor in the making. There should be another professor that will do exactly and more than BT Sokolo did as a full-time professor in the university. So we need competent graduates that will go into industry and practice what they have been taught. We need competent graduates that will go to government and make the right policies for our people and for our continent and for our planet. We need also people that are very creative in our institutions. We need creativity. We need to make our institutions a creative hub, or make them creative hubs, for lack of words now. Sometimes the processes in the institutions stifle creativity because of all of the structures that are aimed at quality assurance, but then we lose out on creativity. So in other places, in other countries and continents where creativity fosters, people are allowed to explore, to make mistakes, to fail as many times until they get it right, what they want to do. So our higher education system in Africa, we need to imbibe this policy of allowing creativity to thrive, innovation. There are some of the things we need to start driving. And I can't overemphasize the relevance of our curricula to the Africa that we want. If you really want to see the Africa we want, our curricula must be very relevant to African issues, to African problems. We can't continue teaching this A for apple for Nigerian children that doesn't have access to an apple tree, to a Yoruba child whose language suggests that A is A, and it can actually produce apple, apple, and not apple. The confusion and all of those, we have to start. And I'm not saying let's throw away the curricula we have. I'm saying let's try to put again together the building blocks with the target goal have been the relevance of our curricula to our societies, to our communities, and to the market that we're trying to send our students into. And of course, it's time to start on student-centered teaching methodologies. Some people are still teaching their students the way the professor taught them, and the professor taught them the way his own professor taught them 20, 30 years ago. And I always say that if today, as a professor of environmental chemistry or environmental toxicology, I still teach the environmental chemistry that I was taught, then I'm failing my students today, because nobody uses titanometry or whatever it is to consider what is COD, to measure COD in the field again. So what I need to do now is to teach my students the science behind chemical oxygen demand measurement and take them to the system and software that will enable them to calculate once they put this sample, they prepare the sample, how they will get to the endpoint. Those are the things I should be teaching my students at this time. And of course, we also know that the students we have now, they're not the student that I was. As a master student, we had 4 hours of lecture at a go. And we had those 4 hours, 2 slots every year at the University of Ibadan. And we survived. But the students we have now, they can't survive an hour. So we have to find other ways of engaging them for 4 hours if they need to be there for 4 hours. It can't always be the PowerPoint or the notes or what we have to find other ways of co-creating knowledge with our students and making our classrooms more interactive. As a matter of fact, I'm saying we because we're working with the CPUT now on an Erasmus Plus project where we are co-creating knowledge, not just with our students, but also with civil society. And this
Yes.
project is going on with 10 universities across Africa and Europe. Those are the kind of things we should be promoting in our systems going forward. And social responsibility, we need to be socially responsible to our communities. I would say we need, and I'm emphasizing it again, we need to be socially responsible as institutions, as individuals. We can all always talk about previously disadvantaged. I was the previously disadvantaged. You were previously disadvantaged. Everybody's previously disadvantaged. But if you are in this room right now, listening to this presentation, you are no longer a disadvantaged person because at least you have access to a computer. You have access to internet. There are many kids out there in Africa that still go to their schools barefooted. There are many of them that have never touched a laptop in their lives. And so we have to be socially responsible as we continue this journey, as we continue to drive these goals. We can't afford to leave this part of the 70% behind. We have to carry as many of them as we can together on this journey of transformation that we're talking about. So what are some of the potential strategic goals for our higher education sector? One of the goals is, I've mentioned curricular intervention. We need to start from the curriculum. You can actually start from the subject you are teaching now. You don't have to wait for the university or your college or your department or faculty to do that for you. You can actually start introducing the way you teach, working on the way you teach, the things, the examples you give. You can start doing that for relevance of our society, societal needs. And of course, harmonization of our curricula, very important. We need to harmonize curricula across Africa so that we're able to see the Africa we really want. We talk about the triple helix model, and ideas say the quadruple model is the way to go. So under the triple helix model, we're working with academia, you're working with government, you're working with businesses. But what about the civil society? What about the communities we're trying to intervene in the needs and the issues we want to solve for them? We need to incorporate them into the models of the work that we do. So the quadruple model is what I will advocate for. And guys, we need deeper intra-Africa collaborations. Many of us, we have collaborators in Europe, in North America, but if you ask, do you know somebody in Kenya or Tanzania? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know anybody there. So we need to engage more with each other because we have similar issues, we have similar, we can strengthen each other, we can work with each other to achieve similar goals in our different countries. So we need to collaborate more with African, and I'm not saying don't collaborate with Europe and North America. I have lots of collaborators and networks in North America and Africa, and I'm proud of them. But we also need intra-Africa collaboration. And mobility is a big issue for me. And I always feel upset every time I want to go to an African country that is not ECOWAS because I carry Nigerian passport. And almost every time, I think except Kenya, that you could easily get at the point of entry, except Kenya, every time I needed to go to an African country, I go through enormous stress. And there was one I won't mention that was so embarrassing that I had to call another Asian colleague and friend to talk on my behalf so that my visa will come in time for the invitation I was given in that particular country. And I thought, what is this? Because if I'm going to Europe or North America, in 3, 4 days, my visa is ready. I'm ready with my passport. But with Africa, I will be told I need 3 months or 2 months before I can move from Cape Town to another African country. And if there's somebody in this space that has access to African Union at that level, I think this is a kind of engagement that we need to do, because academics across Africa, higher education sector practitioners in Africa, they cannot do anything amongst themselves if mobility is constrained the way it is configured at this stage. And of course, we need to recognize and accept emerging trends like AI. I see here things like, oh, this is AI. Why? We need AI has come here and it has come to stay with us. Again, when I was doing my master's, the biostatistics lecturer, it was almost a sin for us to use a calculator. We needed the advanced level kind of four-figure table to do the statistics. But look, here we are today. The same thing is happening now. And Africa is still behind because many of our colleagues were still stuck in a conservative thinking mode, thinking if you get information, then you are stifling the intellectual capacity or strength of your students. You can use AI to stimulate intellectual capacity of students because, again, if you interact with AI, you understand that it's garbage in, garbage out. If you don't know how to use it also, you won't get the outcome that you need. So we need to recognize these trends and we need to accept that they are here to stay and work with the trend, because the rest of the world will not wait for Africa. So I'm ending this slide with quality assurance of our processes, because everything that I've talked about, they're situated within quality assurance. There's not a single one, whether you're intervening in the curricula or trying to collaborate with other people or mobility or using emerging tools and trends, you need quality assurance. You need to quality assure your processes. So quality assurance filters through your teaching activities to your research and community engagement activities. So we need to embrace quality assurance in every little thing or objective that we draw for ourselves in driving sustainable development in Africa through our higher education industry. So what is it? What is our approach to doing this at B Solutions and Consulting Services? We use data-driven methodologies. So what we do, our slogan is that we drive sustainable development goals in Africa using science and indigenous knowledge systems. So even when we're talking about indigenous knowledge system, it's not just something random that somebody mentioned. It is data-driven, and we engage with our stakeholders a lot in the activities that we do. We make sure we do our needs assessment. We just don't jump on issues or act on things. We try to do the needs assessment if that thing is really important, and if the resources to be committed to it will be necessary at that stage. Societal impact is key for us. One of the motivation for starting the business was that we want to translate the science that we're doing for better impact, for more impact to the
Yes.
average person in the street. And of course, sustainability is key for us at B Solutions. So these are some of the things that we do also. If workshops and if you want to see more of the things we do at B Solutions, you can check out our website. Some of those activities are there. But I will conclude by saying I've highlighted some of the challenges we have as a sector and the opportunities that are there for us, and I've suggested some proposed interventions for us to run with in different spaces, contextually and strategically as our education faculties, institutions, departments, and at country level and at continental level. And I hope that going forward, we will see more of this kind of partnerships and collaborations that is bringing for the strengths of Africa, and that we will be able to translate most of these things, these resources, this critical mass of all of us in Africa to create a better Africa for our people. And I would say today we have a few partners already. We're just, like I said, a year, over a year, and about 1.5 years now in the things that we do, that we're doing as a business. If you want to partner with us, you share some of the vision that we have at B Solutions and Consultancy Services, and you are passionate about our continent, Africa,
Yes.
you can reach us to us. And I will say thank you now. While I will be taking questions and comments from our colleagues and attendees, Victory will be sharing a slide to do a small little activity to get feedback from everybody in the room. That way, everybody in the room has the opportunity also to contribute to this discussion today. Thank you very much, and thank you for your.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you, Prof. Beatrice. Please, can we on our cameras so that I can take a photo? Those
uh,
who are free, you can switch on your cameras. I want to take a photo and then we can continue with Victory's exercise. Thank you, Sir Ibrahim, Sir Julius. Again, I saw Dr. Okayo. Thank you. I can see Maria Agibo and Dr. Eze, Sylvia Pimpong, Matthew Akipa. We can open our cameras. Sir Lawrence Mpeta, all the way from Zambia. Seknat, you can on your camera. Thank you. I'm now checking. Yes. I'm taking again because I see Sir Matthew and Sir Lawrence. Now your cameras are now on. Yes, right. We need to be smiling because that's the occasion. After this a good presentation from Prof. That's wonderful. So now I just want to add a few things here. She talked about curriculum design. That is very, very important. At the Global Quality Assurance Association, we value this aspect of curriculum design. Quality assurance is a component to be quality assured. The learner-centered teaching skills, she also talked about them. Again, they need to be quality assured. You see, for universities, colleges, there's no excuse whatsoever as to why you not transforming curricula to be locally relevant and globally recognized. We need, honestly, to infuse indigenous knowledge systems because when we merge it with Western science, then we also stand to benefit. Right now, I can give an example of geography that most parts of Africa do not receive snow and ice. And I'm surprised in one of the countries, not one, a number, which will never receive snow. In the geography, you find there's a whole topic to be covered in more than a month on glaciers, guys. And how many of us are going to where we have the glaciers? How many? Whether to work there or as a tourist or by accident? None. These are some of the things that we need to replace with things like um, arid regions and how we can sustain lives and the ecosystems in the arid regions. I'm just giving a typical example. It's very, very important. Colleagues, she also talked about the thing which I also talked about when I started this session. Many of our people are perishing, going over the deep oceans, and they die before they get to their destinations. They cross the hot and dry deserts, but they never get to the destination they want to go to. What are the issues? Employability skills, employability skills. Whose employer? Whose employer? Here in Africa, we are pushing business generation skills. We should push entrepreneurship. Once we push the agenda of employability skills on their own, we are again working against what we want to remove. That not everybody should go about, I want to get employed. Currently, people only want white collar jobs. They don't want TVETs, where you're doing welding, glazing, tiling, carpentry, dressmaking, tailoring, baking, uh, 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 being a chef, hospitality. Those jobs are for the people who didn't pass school. They are for the poor. They are for the but those who own those companies which provide those services. There are people who are to do people. They are wealthy and filthy rich. Because right now, across the continent, we have a lot of construction going on. So why wouldn't you take up that agriculture? Those who follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn, I'm now even getting crazier every day about demonstrating that it's not about our titles, that I'm a diplomat, that I'm a doctor, I'm a professor. And so I look down upon agriculture, but we survive on agricultural produce. And if you go and buy eggs in the supermarket, there's somebody who produced those eggs. So, how you have that the pertinent issues. And for me, I continue to talk about this issue. It's painful. We talk of employability alone because we will be working against the mindset change that we want to do to make sure that people don't go for white collar jobs alone, that people should not go for easy work alone. This work needs to be done, and somebody needs to do it and earn a living. There are many more reasons why they should remain in Africa and work for our continent. The quadruple model, Prof. Thank you. Me too. You and I, we have so many things in common. I said, be a triple helix because the SDGs even were derived from the communities. They need to be applied in those communities. We can go and teach our students in the communities. We can have projects on fisheries, on agriculture, on architecture with our communities with a lot of success, and in addition, community engagement. South Africa is one of the countries which has allocated a lot of marks on community engagement. The countries trivialize community engagement and say it's out of 10 for your promotion. Why should it be at least 30%? That my promotion is considered that at least when I have done 24% and 20%, then I'm doing a lot in the community. Universities, colleges, and all these other academic institutions then cease to be ivory towers. That's the whole idea of community engagement. and we need to take it seriously. Thank you, Prof, for that. Deeper intra-Africa collaborations, I always also talk about it. You know, Peninsula University of Technology, for excellent programs where those universities, maybe Regional Maritime University in Nigeria, can now collaborate and do student and exchange so that for their maritime programs, they all exchange as staff and students. The students can even graduate with a double major from Nigeria Maritime University and Cape Peninsula University of Technology. How about University of Ghana and Makerere University? We should see more and more of these things happening. True that all African universities do not have the pieces of equipment, they don't have the things that are needed in or good labs. It's not true. Once we get them, we can work together and do a lot. I want to say for the last slide that Prof gave us, we want to talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area. She said anyone from Cape Town to Cairo. That's what she said. What can happen? Because that mobility she talked about is something which is very, very critical to all of us. Then the education system, we need to harmonize our qualifications frameworks. We need to harmonize our degree programs, then by name, then by duration, that people confused when they want to do a comparison of those degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm so excited and happy that one of the Global Quality Assurance Association members has grabbed this opportunity to be with us on this international platform. I can tell you, Prof, for a fact that Dr. Joyce Okayo is representing Kenya. Maybe Dr. Adesina is representing Nigeria. I can say Maria Agbo should be representing Mozambique or any other Portuguese-speaking African country. It could be Angola, but I'm sure it's Mozambique. Please, Jimo, which country? Murisa could be representing South Africa or Zimbabwe because Murisa is a Zimbabwean surname. Akipa represents Ghana. And so you see, Sylvia Pimpong is representing Ghana for sure, no matter where she could be. Ibrahim, where are you? Jubril, where are you? Anthony should be Nigeria. Victory Opelu, I know he's with you. And so now Miss Tariro is representing Zimbabwe and Ghana. So now, Sir Julius, please, which country? Unmute yourself, Sir Julius. Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Julius is Nigeria. Adeoti is from my place in Nigeria.
You
I'm from Nigeria.
That.
Yoruba.
Thank you very much. We have people who are representing a number of African countries, and we have done it. We will push people to the Facebook. I will share the link with you. Now, what we want to do is for Victory, please share again the QR code for people to play around with it. Go ahead.
So, Doc, while Victory is sharing the task, I just want to say that the project you mentioned at CPUT, I was actually part of the people that initiated that collaboration. So this gives me joy when you have an idea and it comes to fruition and it outlives you in that space, because I've left CPUT now, but U6 Plus Consortium is still working. So we started this consortium of 6 African universities across Gambia, Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa. Then we call it U6 Consortium. Now it's U6 Plus because other universities have joined. And actually, we have a center at the University of Ilorin now, an Indigenous Knowledge System Center, where they are doing phytomedicine research with CPUT and these other universities. That is the power of vision and people willing and leaders willing to commit resources to do some of those things, because CPUT committed resources to it. That's why we're able to run with it also. Well, thank you so much.
Wow. Congratulations, and this is beautiful. We want more of those collaborations. We are being told by our Mentimeter that we are all set. So we are
Yeah.
waiting for the presenter. Please say Victory. Can you take us through?
Thank you, Doc. Can you guys see my screen? I'm not sure if my screen is
Yes,
Yes,
visible.
we could
yes,
say.
yes. We have taken the
Oh,
Mentimeter.
brilliant, brilliant. So hi everyone, I'm Victory. I work with Professor Beatrice. I switched off my camera because my network is horrible, so I don't want to risk it. So I'm just hi everyone. This is me. I'm alive and well. So Menti really is a platform that we use to try to drive some type of engagement, to just get some feedback as well. So there's no wrong answers or right answers. It's just a thing for not just for us, for even the organizers of the event. So what you really do here is very simple. If you're using like a phone, you can just go to menti.com and you enter that code, and it's gonna show you a screen telling you to wait. Or you can just scan the QR code if that's more convenient for you. So far, I see 3 likes on the screen. I'm not sure if that's everyone or if everyone. You can give me just a like on Zoom as well, just to be sure that we have enough people. Because I don't want to go to the next slide while this. But if I do go to the next slide and you don't have the link, you can check the chat and the information is there. Okay, let's do this. Cool. So it's a very simple question. We want you to describe in 3 words how strategic partnerships can enhance quality assured higher education in Africa. So this is more a question for the professors and the doctors, basically the professionals in the. This is not really a question for me, but obviously in the presentations, the concept of partnerships and collaboration was highlighted quite importantly. It's not just about, oh, let's do this. We need each other to make this happen in any industry. So, in your words, how do you think practically speaking, these strategic partnerships can enhance quality in higher education? So I'll leave it to you guys. Oh, cool. Thank you. Shared knowledge skills. That's nice. And I'm pretty sure you can add multiple responses. So just if you feel like you want more 3 words, you can just keep adding on. And if you're struggling with this, I don't know if you're just joining, feel free to just check the chat. There's a link and instructions there. If you want to, you can go with the instructions, or you can just click the link and it's going to take you straight to where you need to be. Cool. Partnerships, shared knowledge, mobility, capacity development. Hmm. Wow. I see a lot of big words. That's how I know I'm you know, in the midst of the big professors and doctors. But thank you. You can keep it coming. There's no necessarily like a wrong answer or anything like that. From our feedback side, we're also able to use that in future. For example, events that might come up. This becomes something that becomes a curious topic, especially if it's a recurring theme. That maybe it needs to be a conversation that happens post this event. Okay. So I see there's 6 people that have participated. I know sometimes with Menti there's like a 10-15 second delay. But please feel free to join the conversation. And
There are 12 people.
okay.
12 people have made submissions.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So
Ah,
it's
it's
yeah.
six. Okay, I can see that it's showing six. So there are people who have made more than one submission. I get you.
That's fine.
So
We can just give
each
you maybe
person
another.
can submit up to 3 words. Each person
Mm,
can submit up to 3 words.
mm,
So if you submitted one, you can add 2 more.
mm.
Okay.
Let's move.
Okay. You're on mute, Prof. Professor Beatrice, you're on mute.
Prof. Beatrice, please unmute.
Sorry
Yes,
about that. I thought I was saying perhaps we should take some comments from our audience, even if it's one or two, if anybody want to add on to what I've said, or they
yes.
want to ask a question. It would be nice to hear something from the audience while we keep the poll open for other people, for others that may want to add on.
Mhm. Meanwhile, also, can we move to the next?
Uh,
Is it the only poll that we are running? Is it
yeah,
the only question?
Yes, this is the
that is
only
the only
poll we're
question.
running.
It's the only
Yes.
Okay.
question. It's just
Uh,
that one question. Yeah.
okay, that's
I
fine.
see somebody's hands
But I see
up.
there's a hands up from Dr.
Yes, please
Yeah.
go ahead, unmute yourself. Yes.
I want to appreciate Dr. Makuku for that effort of quality assurance in Africa. I want to
Thank
say that it is a very, very timely presentation from Professor this afternoon. I enjoyed it. But I want us to look at the concept of sustainability in tertiary institution.
you.
Whenever we talk of tertiary institution, we are always emphatic about our productivity at tertiary institution. We
Yes.
have forgotten the fact that our productivity at tertiary institution is an half antecedents, which are from the secondary and the primary school. And almost all our efforts are concentrated at tertiary institution. And what we produce at tertiary institution also affects the quality of primary and secondary education. So for us to have sustainable development at higher education, do you think this is plausible if we don't make conscious efforts to revive and to revamp the quality assurance at primary education? And do we think we can have quality education at secondary school if we don't revamp and revive quality education at that primary education? So I want us to have a rethink of sustaining our education at the present moment to have a better future of educational quality at tertiary institution. Conscious efforts should be made at revamping quality assurance at primary and secondary education. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Prof, you are muted.
Okay.
You can start and then I can also
You can
add.
confirm. Thank you
Mm.
so much, Dr. Abiodun, for that very important comment that you made. And I agree with you that it's garbage in, garbage out sometimes. But my experience as and my position as CP2 was the faculty extended programs coordinator. So the extended programs, they were aimed at supporting students that came from previously disadvantaged background. Maybe the school they went to, there was not infrastructure, but they have potential. So instead of having their diplomas in 3 years, they will have it in 4 years, and we support them. And I've seen lots of success stories. People that will say, let's give this kid a chance, because we could see that this child wants education. And even though what we consider success or benchmark was not what the student had, we supported that student and she graduated at 4 years. So the others that didn't get that support, they might spend 5, 6 years on the graduation until before they graduate, and sometimes they even drop off. So that is a strategic kind of thing that institutions across Africa can as the short-term mechanism. So we can consider to say every program, we have a program whereby students that are coming from the villages, if we see the marks are not strong enough, we do this interview, we feel that they could get these basic answers correct, but this other level, because they would need computer, for argument's sake, to have access to this kind of knowledge, then those kind of students, we support them with computer skills, with literacy skills, with numeracy skills, because we know that they are not ready for tertiary education yet. And by the time we run with that for 5 years, we are targeting a program that we can consider teaching of teachers. So it's obvious that the teaching systems is all messed up for many reasons in Africa. I mean, the teachers that taught me in primary school in the village, they were really good teachers. They went to their grade 2 the teachers college, training college on merit, and they were really sound, and they gave me what I needed to get to access my secondary education. But the only problem I had then was speaking English language. But I understood English language because I was taught as a bilingual child. So it's mostly Yoruba that you teach, but they will teach English as English language also. We were taught that also. So by the time I spent the first 1 and 2nd year in my high school, I was up to speed with the city students also. I could also speak English fluently in the classroom, I mean, as much as every other student was speaking. So these are strategic initiatives that we need to discuss at higher levels. So the feeder teaching institutions into the primary and high school education sector, they need to be quality assured. So we must go back to basics. Who are the teachers? The teachers teaching our primary school students, are they capable? Do they have the right skills, the right knowledge, the right lingo to teach them? The secondary school teachers. And people don't necessarily need to lose their jobs because of the fault and cracks in the system in the past. We can do capacity development training. We're still learning. I'm a professor today. I'm still learning. I'm learning AI. I'm learning this marketing digital. I'm learning all kinds of things because I want to stay relevant. I want to stay intellectually active. So we can start that strategically at a high level, which you and I cannot do, Dr. Makuku. We need people that has the power. We need people that has the influence. We need people that has the resources but we have those ideas that we can run with as countries, as institutions, as if University of Ilorin, for argument's sake, feels the student we are teaching, we get into this place, we struggle with them with language and all of those, the university can decide on a program at that level that we mentioned and start running with it. We conceptualize it, run with it, and all of those at that level. And it's a success story. It's a story that we can tell outside and sell to other institutions or to governments or to funding agencies that listen, Bill and Melinda Gates, this is happening in Africa. Students from Africa, from the villages, they cannot access higher education because of these issues. Is it possible to get for some funding to support 1,000 students every year, for argument's sake? So these are ways that we can use to help ourselves, not only as lecturers, but also as consumers of the products coming out from our university. I hope that answers a bit of what Dr. Abiodun wishes to hear, but I don't have the solution. I have the ideas that can drive us, that can nudge us towards those solutions, but I can't afford the solution. That is the problem.
Yes, thank you, Prof. In addition, also, you remember we just talked about the relationships of government, communities, and academic institutions, and so on. Within the quadruple model, we still also need to have universities meeting with the secondary and primary schools.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that. And the ministries of education, ministries of higher education should facilitate these meetings. Because right now, can you imagine that communication skills has been introduced at university level, where we expect that these students should have been taught their English well in primary, junior, secondary school, and high school. But they are coming up raw. What is the problem? South Africa has reduced, it's in the open, it's in the public domain that South Africa has reduced the pass rate of mathematics to 30%. I think I'm correct, but I know it has been reduced. So all these things, they are not the solutions, because wrongs will never make a good. What is needed is for key stakeholders to come together. When they come together, they identify the challenges. This is exactly where quality assurance works as well. When they identify challenges, if they are starting from a primary level, or they are starting from JHS or SHS, or they are also partly with the trainings done in colleges of education and in universities which teach education degree programs. These things should come out in the open, so that people can identify the gaps and where they are. You know, one of the things that Prof said, which in quality assurance, you can't run away from if you want to do a good thing, is research. You can't depend on perception. You can't depend on your thoughts. You can't depend on gossip, or you can't depend on rumor mongering or these other things that come. You should only rely on data and facts from research. That is quality assurance for you. If you use any other, it could be a waste of time, a waste of resources. Quality assurance requires you to do, whether it's a situational research, a needs analysis, action research for your workplace, or a verification, or a fact finding. These are the things that are needed to be done in terms of researches in order to identify real problems, their root causes, where they are emanating from, so that together, as key stakeholders, we can now approach those challenges, knowing where they are coming from and plug them. Without that, just a random movement and what, it won't work for us. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Anybody else with a comment or a question before we now wind off?
No.
Okay, so now we want to thank all the delegates who joined us today. We want to send especially a special thank you to Prof. Beatrice Opulu. It's important that we make these partnerships where together we can build synergies that can bring about changes. We know it's December. Those who normally attend our sessions, like Dr. Joyce Okayo, you know, we go over hundreds of people attending. We push some now to the Facebook because the platform is full. But now we have learned that people are writing exams, others are having graduation ceremonies, and so others are winding off to close the year. And so we really expected that not many people could attend, but we are pushing this onto our Facebook page, where you can follow and see. We are going to share the link. Thank you very much once again to everyone. Miss Tariro, also Munodawafa, for sending out the invitations, for putting up everything, and also in absentia, our webmaster, who is also our graphic designer. We are very grateful for all the partnership. Prof, we need to do more in 2025. that will make us a lot more better when people are ready. Not in January. Again, January, people are still in the celebratory mode and everything else. So we leave it up from February going. February to November, early November, they are the best times. But we have done it. We have an international platform. Nobody can deny it. Your last words, just in a minute or two, Prof.
I would just say thank you to you for facilitating this and creating this platform. And thank you to our audience today. Let's quality assure our processes. Let's do what is right in integrity, with passion, with honesty. And let's make Africa great. Let us be part of the Africa that we want. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again, everybody. See you next time, Prof. Beatrice, Dr. Joyce Okaya, Dr. Adesina, Sir Matthew Akipa Seknat, Miss Tariro, Sir Ibrahim, Madam Maria Agbo, Jubril, Sir Lawrence Mpeta Zambia, Julius, Sir Julius, Sir Inwang, I don't know from where. Thank you very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Iwan from University of Calabar.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
University of Calabar, so you know me, eh?
Yeah.
Because I've been to University of Calabar as well. We did a very good event. Bye-bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.